Good afternoon. This is the Construction Trades Leadership Podcast episode number 2. Excuse me, and I'm your host, Brad Anderson. While trying to put this episode together, I kind of realized that getting a podcast together is a little harder than I anticipated with the preparation, but I still decided I wanted to get this done and be consistent with getting a podcast out every week. So I'm pushing myself to release this anyway. So hope you enjoyed. Bear with it. Get a few nuggets of information out of it, and we'll be back at you again and continually improving how. I'll be continually improving how I'll be presenting these. So let's get started here. On June 18, 1999, the USS Santa Fe set out with its new captain. He had taken control of the ship, taken command of the ship about 6 months prior, and they were getting the ship ready to set sail. And the USS Santa Fe at that time had a poor record, with low morale. It was considered the laughing stock of the nuclear submarine fleet. So let's find out some things David Marquet did to try to change that, and we'll also find out how effective any of those changes were. And last, we'll see why this is one of my favorite books for leadership with regards to the construction industry. So we'll start off with a little quote from the book here. People who are treated as followers have the expectations of followers and act like followers. As followers, they have limited decision-making authority and have little incentive to give utmost of their intellect, energy, and passion. Those who take orders usually run at half speed, underutilizing their imagination and initiatives. While this doesn't matter much for rowing a trireme, it's everything for operating a nuclear submarine. I find that quote to be equally applicable to the construction trades, where as high and upper management decision makers can't be present at all times in all situations. It's very important for foremen and other workers on a job site to be able to make good decisions. And to be able to make good decisions, they need to practice making decisions and really have any roadblocks from the decisions, making good decisions, be removed. So the main points of the book are the leader framework, which basically tells about teaching leadership at all levels and having leadership at all levels, from the guys doing the work, in this case submarine people who are operating it, all the way through the junior command and senior commanding officers, and all the way up to the captain of the ship. And then he also goes over using empowering phrases. So changing the speech around to empowering speech rather than speech that's passive. So some of his examples he has of disempowering phrases would be: request permission, I would like to, what should I do about, could we? And replace them with empowering phrases. His favorite is I intend to, but also I plan on, I will, we will. And then eliminating organizational roadblocks to crew members, so they can have the responsibility and the authority to do what is needed to take ownership of a situation. So, and he asks the questions: do you recognize situations in which you need to resist the urge to provide solutions? I know oftentimes whenever something goes wrong or when there's a difficult situation, it's easiest to just provide a solution to someone rather than coaching them and trying to get the solution out of them, which they probably have, and they may actually have a better idea, especially being closest to it. They may have the better idea how to solve it. But allowing them to come up with it and helping them come up with it. When problems occur, do you immediately think you need to manage everything more carefully and more closely? And that's another one that's very common and from experience, something I've engaged in and people I've worked for and with and everyone engages in, and it's quite a common urge to have, and it really just makes things it just becomes an impossible situation though, because as a leader and as a owner or manager, you can't be everywhere at the same time. You can't make every decision, and when adhering to protocol becomes the objective as opposed to achieving the object that the protocol was put in place for, that becomes a problem. So we said then getting specific with goals, not methods. And then also the other big thing is not just eliminating errors, but achieving excellence, and how to do that, and eliminating blind obedience. Rather than avoiding errors, and ways to do that, and to build trust, and using guiding principles for decision-making criteria. So why I like this book, and rather than getting into the entire book and the entire synopsis of it, which I just realized would be several hours long rather than a 10-minute podcast, why I like this book with regards to construction leadership is that it does many situations we can't be in the same place everywhere, but also he took over an existing ship with an existing crew, and the biggest thing was it wasn't the ship, it wasn't the crew that was the problem, it was the leadership. And with the same people, he was able to turn the ship around, have them perform better, and which they already had inside of them. So you don't have to think about getting rid of an entire crew and replacing it with someone, other people, which obviously is completely unwieldy. But you can work with the people who already have the answers and get those answers out of them, and learn how to communicate with them, and have them communicate with each other to get the answers out. And as far as his improving, we'll read right out of the book itself, and here's the book, Turn the Ship Around. So his improvements were so their re-enlistments went from 3 to 36 in 1 year. Officer retention went up to 100%. Enlisted personnel selected for officer programs went from 1 to 3. Enlisted personnel advanced went from 30 to 48. Personnel determined to be ineligible for enlistment, which would be a bad thing, went from 8 to 1. And they had 9 port calls in 6 different countries, and had acted as perfect ambassadors, hadn't had a single Liberty incident, maintained the submarine at 100% operational readiness with 0 operational impact to repair, maintenance, personnel, or other issue. While in deployment, they re-enlisted 19 crew members for a total of over $500,000 saved. $500,000 in re-enlistment bonuses, which was a record at the time. And they were awarded 22 submarine qualifications, and the crew qualified 290 individual watch stations, and averages 2.4 qualifications for each crew member. And operationally, they had demonstrated some key capabilities, including torpedo exercise in the Arabian Gulf, transitioning the Straits of Hormuz several times, and the Straits of Malacca twice, and picking up Navy SEALs in action in all of this. So the methods were quite effective for David Marquet. I recommend this book. Read it, listen to the audiobook. There's a workbook associated with it. All great helpful tools for you and your team. And I will probably revisit this book and go over again some more key points. But for now, I wanted to get this podcast going as a personal goal, and we'll hopefully have a little more streamlined and a little more organized releases in subsequent episodes. But thank you for listening.